Hi, my name is Jason. I am 54 years old, and at 52, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer that metastasized to my spine. And on this channel, we talk about it. Today, I've got a guest. This isn't necessarily about prostate cancer, but it is about cancer. It is about tumors. So today, we have my brother, Keith, and he lives out in Idaho, and he's visiting because he's got a challenge of his own with a tumor. Before we get into that, Keith, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you have been on the channel before. We did an interview back when I was having back problems and you were having back problems. Or just give us a quick review of what that back problem was.
I did. I had back pain for a number of years and kind of suffered through that and did what most people, I think, advise you to do and put off surgery as long as possible. And finally went and got an MRI done and found out that I had no disc left at the L5-S1 joint and had spinal fusion surgery. That was November of 23.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
And now we've got a new medical challenge, but yeah. So about us growing up, I'm 3 years older, but you're taller. Now I was 6'4". And how tall are you?
6'7". Yeah.
And even that's even after the back fusion surgery.
I would suspect that I gained about a centimeter after back fusion surgery because they pushed a cage in there. Maybe I lost some and then I gained it back. Maybe it's net even.
I went the other way with when I had that compression fracture. I lost height. Oh. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. What do you remember growing up about that height difference? Like, do you remember being taller or?
It's a good question. I have my 9th grade yearbook. I was on the basketball team that year as a nobody, but in the team picture, I'm in the back, in the center, and the heights kind of go like this. And of course, the taller people are in back. And I had handwritten in ink, 6'4" tall. So in 9th grade, I was 6'4". So I always felt tall.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't grow up feeling tall. I don't remember when I hit 6'4". It was well after the 9th grade, but I didn't grow up feeling tall. And I think that's because I was around you, and our whole family's rather tall. Yeah. And so I never had that feeling of I'm a giant, I'm towering over people. But that's got to be a little different for you. I mean, when you get past 6'4", that's some ridiculous height.
It is, I think people brought it up to me. They would say things like kind of cliche, do you play basketball or that kind of a thing, but just certainly hand-me-downs were harder for our parents, I think, to dress clothes from older to middle to younger, as they would have been high waters or whatever else for me. But
yeah, that's funny. Now, we were growing up. I eventually went into the Navy, and your career took a different path. So right now you're in finance. What's your title? Can I ask that?
You bet. I'm a credit administrator for a bank. So I manage a credit administration department for a bank.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. But so how long have you been in finance in the banking industry now?
Oh boy. 33 years.
Holy
33 years. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's been a great career, as positions come available and the bank is always trying to attract new people to it. A lot of times, young people with a degree, I have an opportunity to sit down and share some experience with them. And I say, it's been a great career and I can kind of cite some of those reasons, but my wife and I, we started a family right away, and for working in banking, I was able to have some holidays and nights and weekends and just some of those benefits time-wise that over the years cumulatively have been very beneficial.
Yeah, that's a lot better than being in retail or something where you're working the weekends, you're working the holidays.
Or the Navy.
Yeah. I spent a lot of holidays underway on a submarine. Yeah, that's crazy.
Your shift didn't end at 5 and you didn't have weekends off?
Nope. No, I remember we would do 24-hour duty days where we had to be on the boat for up working all night, and then we got the next day off, and we just crashed, just slept, and then went back in. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was fun. So today we're talking about a brain tumor. Hold up your shirt a little bit there. Brain tumor. 1 out of 5 stars. Wouldn't recommend.
5 stars.
Would not recommend.
I would not recommend.
So how did you first find out you had a brain tumor?
Boy, this has been really quick. It was in July. I've been having a number of symptoms for a number of years, some of which we talked about on our previous podcast with testosterone replacement, which
Yeah, that's right.
probably masked a number of my symptoms for a while. And
so, because I'm jumping ahead here, but because this tumor is on or near your pituitary gland, right?
It is.
And the pituitary gland, so it's at the base of the brain, behind the eyes and the nose, and it regulates growth, it regulates stress, it regulates your testosterone levels. It does a lot of things. And so you've had a couple of years ago when we were doing that other video, like you said, you were having some low testosterone levels, and that could have been a symptom.
It most likely was.
Wow.
Low testosterone, and I don't provide any medical advice. People need to do their own research and talk to their medical provider. So I'm just going to explain things kind of from my knowledge and for my benefit. But hypogonadism is a textbook result from a pituitary tumor.
All right. So when you say, but there were some other symptoms led you to go to the doctor finally in July. And I think one of them had to do with your vision. So what was going on there?
Over the last year and a half, I've been to not only my eye doctor for the last, 3-4 years, but I've been to 3 retina specialists over the last year and a half and probably 2 years, with some peripheral vision problems. So, having gone through multiple appointments, multiple tests, lots of examinations, and lots of stress trying to figure out what it is, given some of the blood numbers that I was having and some of the vision problems I was having and some of the symptoms that I was feeling, headaches, dizziness, and being tired, all these kind of came together and drove me to do what you advise people who are on your podcast and people who listen to your podcast. Maybe it's a different problem I'm going through, but to be your own advocate. How many times have I heard you say that?
I'm glad that that's coming through on these, because that's one of the most important things we can do is talk about our symptoms. Okay, doctor, this is going to sound really weird, and I don't know if it means anything, but this is something that's going on, and let them figure out whether it means anything or not, but ask for the tests. Doctors say, I probably wouldn't worry about that. That's it. The next thing you say is, yeah, but can we get a test to confirm that? Well, and if they blow you off, go get a new doctor. So what was it like to hear that you had a pituitary tumor? Like, how do you, prostate cancer is one thing, and I remember how I felt, and I remember the shock, but it's got to be a different experience finding out you have a tumor in your brain. How do you, pardon the pun, wrap your head around that?
Boy, talk about the biggest double-edged sword, to use the phrase that I've experienced. There was some significant relief finally kind of understanding the cause for some of the symptoms, particularly the vision loss, because at this time I hadn't really correlated the low testosterone to the pituitary yet. I was really trying to find out what's happening with my vision, with my eyes. And I went and had the MRI and came back. And before the doctor ever called me, my chart is a fantastic thing. My medical providers use that. And I'm able to look up, and I was watching that night, and I was able to see the MRI and see this fairly massive pituitary tumor. So they classify pituitary tumors as micro, and then just as a adenoma, and then as a macroadenoma. And anything over 10 millimeters is considered a macroadenoma. And mine is 38 millimeters by 38 millimeters
Jeez.
by 30 millimeters. So
That's over an inch. That's more than an inch yeah. Holy smokes.
yeah. So I saw that mass. It was one of those MRI tests where they give you the dye, the contrast. So it was an enhancing mass, and it floored me. I had several days of a great deal of sadness, a great deal of frustration, a great deal of fear. Immediately started trying, oh, Jason, it was up and down and difficult to navigate that. And my wife was right by me through all that, helping me and trying to be positive. But it was hard.
It's never a single person diagnosis, is it?
No, it isn't. We were just at an event last night where somebody walked up to my wife who was standing next to me and said, this is just as hard on you as it is on him. And I leaned over and went, But the impact on her life and her stress level and worrying about me and helping me track the number of blood tests that I've had to have done, the initial MRI, the CAT scan of my sinuses, all the follow-up appointments, meeting the neurocranial surgeon, meeting the ENT surgeon, meeting the endocrinologist. It's a toll on her as well, and you have to recognize that.
Yeah. Holy smokes. Yeah. So that brings up a good question, though. How do you share this with family and friends? Because you've got kids. And I remember there was some, like, you had known about it for some period, for a little bit at least, before you shared it with, me and Stuart and Mom. And then there was still some hesitation to share it outside of that bubble until you knew more, right? So what was that? How did you share the news? What kind of reactions did you get from that? Were they expected? Were they has it put some people off? You know what I mean? Because when we share news like that, that's dropping information on somebody's doorstep that now they know. They now have this piece of information, and what does that mean going forward?
Yeah. There's probably no perfect way to do that. I felt like I wanted to, like you said, educate myself a little more and become a little more knowledgeable about it and about this concept of surgery and what does that mean? What does it look like? What are the impacts of that? And the potential medications and treatments post surgery, depending on how effective the surgery is, what the outcome is like, and what the short term impact on our lives is going to be as we're trying to navigate through this. And I really wanted to get my arms around that a little bit better before I told the kids. I talked with my wife and I just formulated a single text message to the kids and factually, without a lot of emotion, just kind of laid it out with what it was. And that's how we chose to do it. And of course, then you kind of get some responses back and you're doing FaceTime and things to try to fill in the blanks. But that's what we decided to do.
Yeah, kept it fact-based, got some information ahead of time, gathered some info, and then sent it out. But you said something in there that sparked a thought. You have to trust your care team. Like you had to, so in the figuring out what this is like and what it means, you realize you have to have some specialists involved. How's it felt putting your health and the success of this surgery into the hands of these doctors that really you don't know? It's not your daily doctor. It's, or your annual doctor. It's not somebody you see regularly. You're really committing a lot of trust into a care team that I mean, how much do you know about your care team? Really, I guess that's the question.
And it's a big question because how much, you can almost answer with the question, how much do any of us really know? But I truly believe we probably have some of the best healthcare in the world here in the U.S. Um, I was a little bit put off. The gentleman that I was referred to ended up not being the person who picked up my case, the neurosurgeon. And looking into that a little more, I became a little more comfortable with it as we went along. But the person who I thought I was going to have my appointment with was not the person I ended up speaking to and who's going to do the surgery. And that kind of put us off right out of the get-go. But
yeah, are you getting a second tier person? Like,
right.
what does that what does that mean?
Yeah, and you never really know, right?
Yeah.
You look on and you try to look at reviews of a doctor, but how valuable are those? They're information, but you could pick your favorite restaurant and you could go on and read reviews, and you're going to see reviews that are positive and negative. People have so many different preferences and different requirements. People have different comorbidities. People have all these different things going on in life. Before I had my spinal fusion, I had people warn me about my neurosurgeon that did my spinal surgery. They made commentary like no bedside manner, didn't make me feel very good. And I spoke to another person that said that they are a tactician. They're fantastic. They're highly skilled, but their bedside's a little bit lacking in their opinion. And met the individual, didn't have any problems conversing with them, didn't have any problems with the appointments, listened to everything I said, gave me all the time I needed, and a fantastic outcome in surgery. So reviews are what they are, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've got a good friend of mine, his son is in medical school right now, and he asked me for the credentials, and so I shared those. And I learned a little bit, and I should have refreshed my memory, anticipating that for our conversation. But, we looked at where they were trained, what they were trained in, and then if they're board certified. I've seen that before. I've heard that before. I did not know what that meant. And then if they've done fellowships in the specific area that they're treating me in, and this individual has. And so that's probably what gave me the greatest comfort, is speaking to a medical student who understood what some of those things were, and the amount of the board certification and the fellowship in cranial base surgeries.
Holy smokes. I never thought about checking to see if any of my doctors were board certified. I guess I don't even know what that means, really. I've assumed that they all are. If they have to be if you're a doctor, that means you can do doctor stuff, but I guess there's more to it than that. Huh.
Yeah.
So it's important to research our doctors, figure out their background, get to a point where we're comfortable with it. So when's your surgery? 2 days?
2 days from now. Yes. Yeah.
Holy smokes. What's on your mind the most right now? The tumor.
The tumor. The tumor's on my mind, literally.
Sorry.
No, it's no one thing. I have a hard time kind of rating it, but it's all over the gamut. I've kind of gone off all my supplements and everything else that I was taking. I'm just taking the medication prescribed to get me ready for the surgery. And I'll come to just lay some of this out, I guess. The stuff that's on my mind, because it's all at the forefront right now, is physically being able to be present at the surgery. So don't injure myself, don't get hurt, don't do something else that will delay the surgery. I'm taking the medication I'm supposed to. I've been given the shampoo or the body wash you're supposed to use the night before the surgery, the disinfecting soap. And so I've been running through my mind how that's going to work, and I use it the morning of the surgery. Check-in is at 5:20 in the morning in 2 days from now. And I'll be in pre-op, and then he says the operation takes 2 or 3 hours. My tumor is on the larger side. He said it's not the largest that he's removed, but it is on the larger side. So I don't know, add some time for that. And then I was told that I will be in recovery for a couple of hours, not 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but a couple of hours. So the time my wife is going to be waiting and worrying and things like that um, are on my mind. And then the hospital stay, doctor says 2 or 3 days, nurse says 3 or 4. I think I believe the nurse, maybe a little more. Um, I can't blow my nose for 90 days.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
Cough, sneeze. I have to be very careful about that. I have to sleep above a 45-degree angle. The medication they use for pain always causes some intestinal problems for me. So, how do you navigate that? Just everything's on my mind right now, and it feels a little heavy.
Yeah, let's talk about the procedure. You comfortable with that?
Yeah. Yep.
So they're going to go total recall on this. For those that remember the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, they're going to be pulling this tumor out of your nostril, right? They're
Yes.
going in through your sinus cavity, and then there's a little wall back there, right? But that separates your sinuses from your brain area, and they're going to describe what they're going to do.
Yeah. So for those that want the name, it's endoscopic transsphenoidal resection.
Ugh,
Now you know as much as I do.
sounds gross.
The ENT surgeon will place instruments in my nose that go to the back of the sinus cavity and will give access to the area for the neurocranial surgeon. They'll go through the soft tissue there at the back of the sinus cavity, and then they will chip away the base of the skull. And the pressure of the tumor has actually formed my skull out. It's actually bulged my skull, which explains some of the headaches. And
oh, wow.
They will make access through the base of the skull there and break those little, chip away the bone, and then have access right there to the pituitary area. Will be in the forefront. Just above it will be the optical chiasm, which is the joining where the optic nerves cross over before they go into the brain. And they come out of the back of the eyes and cross over right there. Just behind the pituitary tumor, it will be the carotid arteries that come up out of the neck and feed the brain with blood. And then the pituitary is there at the bottom, engorged and enlarged with this growth inside of it.
Holy frickin' smokes. So are they expected, have they given you any information on what to expect on recovery? Like, is your pituitary gland going to go back to normal? Is there a risk that it won't? Is there, and when they take this tumor out, there's a bunch of space there. Like, do they just leave the space there? Will the tissue naturally fill it in? What's the plan?
Yeah. The pituitary can be stunned, is that's the word that he used. And if it becomes stunned from the surgery because of the trauma that it's going to go through, I think it's 7 or 8 functions, hormones, processes in the body that the pituitary controls. It's a fascinating little gland. Now that I've tried to learn about it,
Yeah.
and there's a likelihood that some of those functions will have trouble or need replacement with medicines long term. I know that they try to leave part of the pituitary there because they want some function from it. I don't think you'd want to live without a pituitary at all. It would be
it would suck.
Yeah.
you're gonna experience some of the same symptoms those of us on hormone therapy experience, because if we're on, because one of our drugs antagonizes the pituitary gland until it gets overstimulated, shocks it. So one of our drugs is designed to shock the pituitary gland to get it to shut down.
Oh wow.
So we that's where the hot flashes come from, the mood swings, because the no testosterone, which is the goal of the drugs,
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand how shocking your pituitary gland would. Yeah, I understand what that would do. That sucks.
Yeah. I have recently found a social media group that is a support group for people with pituitary adenomas and joined that. And I'm just trying to read about other people's experience. Again, it's like reviews a little bit. People will have different experiences, outcomes, interpretations of everything they've been going through. But when reading about their experiences pre-surgery, all of their blood work, all their symptoms, their experiences in surgery, and to your question about recovery, all over the board, all over the board. Some people are, 4 weeks outside of surgery, no pain, no problems. Their blood numbers are returning to normal. Some people have significantly more complication, post surgery, and so it's a bit of a guess at this point. And my role is to be as healthy as I can going in, as positive as I can going in, and do my part in recovery, stay healthy, and things outside of my control at this point are how the pituitary is going to react, um, whether or not I'll have some of the complications, since we're talking about recovery, um, a CSF leak or cerebral spine
Oh
fluid
yeah,
leak. Stroke can happen during surgery with this procedure because their blood vessels are right at the back of where the tumor is.
yeah,
The optic nerves, the return of eyesight and preservation of the eyesight that I've got is of concern. So there's just a number of issues that are just well outside of my control. So, but I will need to recover from it, or at least habilitate with it on.
yeah. That's a lot. Holy smokes! That's in a really crappy spot.
It is. And as I was contemplating that exact thought, I realized, well, it's buried right in the middle of the brain. This gland should be protected for all the things that it does and all of the role that it has in our body, in our growth and reproduction, and so many things that it controls or causes to be stimulated and controlled. It's a very important little spot. So hence where it's at.
Wow. So, was there anything you've had to stop doing um, over the last several years because of symptoms that now you know what caused it, and that you're looking forward to getting back to doing after recovery? Like you ride a bike. Is that something you've had to stop doing because of vision problems?
I used to enjoy riding motorcycles, and we rode our bike a lot, just as you have, in the past. And with some of the peripheral vision loss, I sold my motorcycles. I got to a point where being off road, I was having issues with um, my my eyes being able to feed my brain information fast enough, and I was having little crashes off road and stuff. So I sold them, and so I've stopped riding with friends and going on kind of camp out motorcycle trips, and haven't really been back on the bicycle at all. My brain is not getting information from my eyes through my peripheral vision, so some dizziness and some of those problems have been persistent, and I am hoping that the return of that vision on the peripheral vision, when the pressure's taken off the nerves, that it will help my some of that dizziness and problems, and I'll feel a little more confident getting out on two wheels, and be able to bring that back in my life.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Holy smokes. So, someone watching this, if somebody's watching this, my audience is generally prostate cancer. What advice do you have for them? What have you learned from your experience that would translate to uh, some advice for my viewers?
I think we kicked off the podcast talking about be your own advocate, but understand your blood numbers, openly share all of your symptoms with your provider, and those little things that are in our control. But, our bodies are very amazing. I was speaking with my wife yesterday that how our physical body is formed, and how in the womb with two cells that come together, and all the things that can go wrong from that point on. And so I guess the answer to the question is be prepared for those things that are just outside of your control. It's not more information you can give your provider always. It's not something you've done or done wrong in your own health journey or progression. Sometimes things are just going to happen. So how we deal with those when they're handed to us is probably the advice that I would give.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
that's really good. We've covered a lot of deep stuff on this, some really heavy information, and you're going to be going through that surgery. We're going to be looking forward to hearing that your surgery was successful, that you're going through recovery, and recovery is going well. So I'm already looking forward to all that. Staying positive. Staying positive is a huge. Adam and I would talked about that several times in the first couple interviews we did, episodes we did, and that Mom had commented on one of the videos recently that one of the commonalities among those who are successfully dealing with these things that get thrown at us is the positive mindset.
You bet. I agree with that. And I'm looking forward to it too, being able to be on the backside of this and have some good blood numbers and feel better, and be able to sleep lying down instead of at 45-degree angles.
Yeah, holy smokes. All right, well, I thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your experience, and I hope you've given me and my viewers something to think about. So I appreciate that.
Thanks for taking time for me again. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And for those that stuck around this long, love you all.